In the small, unassuming town of Eldridge Hollow, nestled between mist-laden hills and dense, whispering woods, the ordinary often danced a delicate waltz with the extraordinary. Life there was marked by the rhythm of seasons, the ebb and flow of the river that snaked through the valley, and the comforting predictability of everyday routines. Yet, beneath the surface of this tranquil existence, the townsfolk were no strangers to the inexplicable, to the moments that made them question the very fabric of reality. It all began with the arrival of autumn. The air turned crisp, and the leaves transformed into a riot of colors: fiery reds, burnt oranges, and golden yellows. As the harvest moon loomed large in the sky, casting an ethereal glow over the landscape, whispers of a haunting began to circulate through Eldridge Hollow. It was said that on certain nights, when the moon hung low and the shadows stretched long, the ghost of a young woman named Ilara wandered the woods, searching for something lost. Ilara had been a local legend long before the whispers began. A vibrant spirit in life, she had been known for her laughter that echoed through the trees and her kindness that warmed the hearts of the townspeople. But tragedy struck. One fateful evening when she vanished during a harvest festival, her absence casting a pall over the town. Despite extensive searches, no trace of her was ever found. Time passed, and her story faded into folklore, but the mystery of her disappearance lingered like a spectre. As the stories of Ilara's ghost spread, they were met with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Some claimed to have seen her, a fleeting figure in white gliding between the trees, her hair flowing like silken threads in the wind. Others spoke of a chilling melody that echoed through the forest at night, a haunting lullaby that seemed to beckon the brave or the foolish to venture deeper into the woods. The more practical townsfolk dismissed these tales as mere superstition, but the allure of the supernatural proved irresistible to many. One brisk October evening, a group of adventurous teenagers decided to test their courage. Armed with flashlights and bravado, they set out to find Ilara, convinced that the stories were nothing more than an elaborate ruse. As they entered the woods, the laughter that had accompanied them quickly faded, replaced by an unsettling silence. The trees loomed overhead like ancient sentinels, their gnarled branches twisting into grotesque shapes under the pale moonlight. The deeper they ventured, the more the atmosphere shifted. A heavy fog rolled in, wrapping around them like a shroud, muffling their voices and dulling their senses. It was then that they heard it, a soft, melodic humming that seemed to drift through the trees, pulling at their hearts and urging them forward. They exchanged nervous glances, but the thrill of the chase propelled them onward. Suddenly, the air grew colder, and a figure appeared in the distance, illuminated by the silvery glow of the moon. The teens froze, their hearts pounding in their chests. The figure was ethereal, draped in a flowing white gown that billowed around her like mist. Her hair cascaded down her back, shimmering as if woven from moonlight itself. It was Ilara. With a mixture of fear and fascination, they watched as she moved gracefully among the trees, her feet barely touching the ground. She seemed unaware of their presence, her gaze fixed on something far beyond the physical realm. The humming grew louder, and to their astonishment, they realized it was a song, a lullaby that resonated with an ancient sorrow. One of the teens, a girl named Mia, felt an inexplicable pull towards Ilara. Without thinking, she stepped forward, drawn by an invisible thread. The others called out, panic rising in their voices, but Mia was entranced. As she approached, the world around her faded, and the air shimmered with an otherworldly glow. Ilara turned, her eyes reflecting the light of the moon, and for a fleeting moment, their gazes locked. In that instant, Mia felt a rush of emotions, longing, sadness, and a deep, abiding love. It was as if Ilara's spirit reached out to her, sharing a fragment of her story, a glimpse of her lost hopes and dreams. But just as quickly, the moment shattered. The wind howled, and the fog thickened, swirling around them like a tempest. Ilara's figure began to dissolve, her song fading into the night. Mia stumbled back, breathless, as the others grabbed her, pulling her away from the spectral scene. They ran, hearts racing, the thrill of fear propelling them through the woods until they burst into the safety of the town. They gathered at the local diner, a place where the smell of coffee and pie mingled with the warmth of laughter. But the atmosphere was heavy with unspoken words. Mia recounted her experience, her voice trembling with the weight of what she had seen. The others listened, their skepticism waning in the face of her vivid description. As the night wore on, the diner filled with stories, tales of shadows seen from the corner of one's eye, of cold spots in warm rooms, and of dreams that felt too real to be mere figments of imagination. Each account added another layer to the tapestry of the supernatural that enveloped Eldridge Hollow. Days turned into weeks, and the nights grew longer as winter approached. The stories of Elara continued to circulate, drawing more thrill-seekers into the woods. Some came with cameras, hoping to capture evidence of the supernatural. Others brought offerings, flowers, notes and trinkets left at the edge of the forest as tokens of respect for the spirit that roamed there. But not all encounters were benign. One evening, a couple of local boys, emboldened by tales of bravery, ventured into the woods with the intent to taunt the ghost. They laughed and shouted, mocking the very essence of the stories that had captivated their peers. As they wandered deeper, the atmosphere shifted once more, the air thickening with an ominous energy. They felt watched, as if unseen eyes were tracking their every move. Suddenly, the laughter died in their throats as they stumbled upon a clearing. In the center stood an ancient oak tree, its gnarled branches stretching toward the heavens. Beneath it lay a small, weathered grave, overgrown with moss. The name etched into the stone was barely legible, but the date was clear. Elara's. The boys stood frozen, the weight of their actions crashing down upon them. A chill swept through the clearing, and the air crackled with an electric tension. Shadows danced around them, twisting and turning as if alive. The boys turned to flee, but the forest seemed to close in around them, branches reaching out like skeletal hands. The laughter they had shared was now replaced by panic, echoing through the trees as they ran blindly, desperate to escape the darkness that had awakened. When they finally emerged from the woods, gasping for breath, they were forever changed. The bravado that had fueled their journey was replaced by a deep-seated fear, a realization that some stories were rooted in truth and some spirits were not to be trifled with. They shared their tale, but this time the townsfolk listened with rapt attention, the air thick with a sense of reverence. As winter settled over Eldridge Hollow, the nights grew colder, and the whispers of Elara's ghost transformed into a kind of protective law. Families began to share the story of the lost girl with their children, teaching them to respect the woods and the spirits that lingered there. The once carefree thrill-seeking turned into a solemn acknowledgement of the mysteries that lay just beyond the veil of the known. In the heart of winter, a fierce snowstorm blanketed the town, isolating it from the outside world. The howling winds and swirling snow created an eerie stillness, and the townsfolk huddled together, sharing stories by the fire. It was during one of these gatherings that an elderly woman named Agnes shared a tale of her own, a story passed down through generations. Agnes spoke of the night Elara had disappeared, of the festival that had been filled with joy and laughter, but also of an undercurrent of unease. She recounted how, on that fateful evening, Elara had been seen arguing with a stranger, a man whose presence seemed to cast a shadow over the festivities. He had vanished as quickly as he had appeared, leaving behind a lingering sense of dread. The room fell silent as Agnes's words hung in the air. The townsfolk exchanged glances, a new layer of mystery unfurling before them. What had truly happened to Elara? Was her spirit trapped in the woods, forever searching for closure? The questions loomed large, and the stories took on a new depth, intertwining the supernatural with the very real horrors that could exist in the world. As the storm raged outside, the townsfolk found themselves drawn to the woods once more, not as thrill-seekers, but as seekers of truth. They formed a small group, determined to uncover the secrets that had remained buried for too long. Armed with candles and a sense of purpose, they ventured into the heart of the forest, guided by the flickering light and the whispers of the past. The woods were transformed in the snow's embrace, each branch and shadow taking on a life of its own. The group moved cautiously, their breaths visible in the frigid air, until they reached the ancient oak tree, the very spot where the boys had encountered Elara's grave. Kneeling before it, they laid flowers and lit candles, creating a small memorial in honor of the lost girl. As they stood in silence, a soft breeze rustled the branches overhead, and an otherworldly glow enveloped the clearing. Time seemed to stand still as the group felt a presence around them, a palpable energy that spoke of longing and sorrow. In that moment, they understood that Elara's spirit was not merely a ghost to be feared, but a soul yearning for recognition, for her story to be told. They shared their thoughts aloud, recounting the tales of her kindness, her laughter, and the joy she had brought to their lives. As they spoke her name, the air shimmered, and for a brief moment they caught a glimpse of her, a figure bathed in moonlight, smiling gently at them before fading back into the shadows. It was a moment of profound connection, a bridge between the living and the lost. The group left the woods that night with a sense of peace, a newfound understanding of the supernatural that surrounded them. Elara was no longer just a ghost. She was a part of their community, a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of remembering those who had come before. The tales of her spirit transformed into a legacy, a way for the townsfolk to honor their past while embracing the mysteries that lay ahead. As the years passed, Eldridge Hollow became a place where the supernatural was woven into the very fabric of life. The stories of Elara continued to thrive, evolving with each retelling, capturing the imaginations of new generations. The woods, once a source of fear, became a sanctuary for those seeking solace and connection to the past. And on certain nights, when the moon hung low in the sky, the townsfolk would gather at the edge of the woods, sharing stories and songs, their voices rising into the night. They would speak of Elara, of the laughter that once echoed through the trees, and of the love that transcended the boundaries of life and death. In doing so, they kept her spirit alive, a testament to the enduring power of memory and the unbreakable bond between the living and the departed. In Eldridge Hollow, the line between the ordinary and the extraordinary blurred, creating a tapestry of life rich with mystery and wonder. Supernatural phenomena were no longer a source of fear, but a celebration of the unknown, a reminder that there was magic in the world, waiting to be discovered by those willing to listen to the whispers of the past.